We're talking Tennessee Titans. Now, I think the consensus across NFL fans would be in the AFC, we got two teams at the bottom. Patriots are rock bottom, Titans are a close second. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm not saying that's how you feel, Prop Beaver. I'm just saying I think if you surveyed 1,000 NFL fans, that's the answer you're going to get. Would you agree with that?
No. I mean, I think people still look at the Raiders and the Broncos and the Patriots as much more close to the bottom than the Tennessee Titans. I think people are going to look at the talent on the Titans roster and disagree with you in that regard. I mean, if you look at the people that they brought in the season, let me go to that slide specifically. Let's look at that. They brought in Tony Pollard. I know he didn't have the best season last year for those fantasy owners, but he's a very good running back before that, especially when he's not the lead back. Well, he's not going to be the lead back. In fact, he was listed as the co-starter the other day, so he's going to be splitting that backfield with Tyjae Spears. So I actually like that. If he's not the workhorse, maybe less tread on those tires, and he should be more effective this season. So I like that. They also brought in Calvin Ridley, another one who was kind of coming off of a disappointing season, but I don't exactly love how Jacksonville used him last year. I feel like they just pretty much sent him deep and were like, fuck it, just go out there and we're just going to chug it deep to you. That was moronic. I feel like the Titans are going to use him in a bit more of a diverse way. And if they're able to use him in that diverse way and use him correctly, and also have DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd, and people are forgetting about this, but Treylon Burks is the fourth receiver on this offense. They have some real talent on this offense.
I like what you said about Calvin Ridley, because I feel like when the usage rate was there in Jacksonville, he looked really good, almost uncoverable at times. So, okay, I'll give you that. Also, L'Jarius Sneed, I'll give you that. They definitely added talent. I also like what you said about Tony Pollard. I like all that. But I feel like you can't overlook the fact that we're talking about a coaching overhaul and a young, unproven quarterback. It's tough. It's a tough sell.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two most important things. A lot of times, the things you just described, they work in the negative. And as long as you got the coaching staff back and the quarterback, those things work themselves out. So I think the two most important aspects of the game, the coaching and the quarterback, are such question marks, which I know is going to be a very square take as far as everyone's going to say the same thing, but also I think there's truth to it.
Yeah, and this question mark is not going to be one that I can answer for any of you guys here, because Brian Callahan, we have no history of him as a play caller. The Bengals offense has obviously been pretty good when Joe Burrow has been on the field over the last 3 years. But guess what? He's not called the plays in any of those seasons. So he's going to be calling the plays for the Tennessee Titans this season. But we have no idea what to really expect here. But something I do expect is for this offense to lean on the pass a bit more. That is something that Callahan has explicitly said. So if you like Will Levis, if you don't like Will Levis, that is something that you should keep in mind. So if you don't like Will Levis, maybe that makes you lean towards that under more. If you like Will Levis, maybe that makes you lean toward that over. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is Will Levis's clean and under pressure numbers. Let me go and try and
Well, actually, that's a perfect segue, because I actually wanted to talk about that also. Tennessee. Now, the addition they made to the offensive line, I'm seeing the center. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Yes, the left tackle or the right tackle, I believe, J.C. Latham, they drafted.
Okay. Oh, yeah. First round, 7th overall pick. Good point. Okay. So they add the first round pick at tackle, and they add
Fishenberry, the center.
I said the center.
Oh, yes.
I knew the center, and they add the tackle. Okay, so maybe a slight upgrade, but we're talking about this offensive line, 31st in adjusted sack rate, 24th in pass block grade. And talking about Will Levis, a guy that has a really shitty pressure to sack rate. So a dude that did not handle pressure. You know what? Go ahead and talk about the numbers you were about to talk to, because I'm looking at them here and they're terrible.
Oh, absolutely awful. As you can see, when pressured, really, really bad last year. He's not good at avoiding sacks either. As you can see, pressure to sack rate, one of the worst in the NFL. So AJ, why are you high on this team? Why do you have any bit of hope for them? Well, let's go back to that coaching staff graphic real quick. Let me try and get that up. You want to know who Brian Callahan's dad is? Bill Callahan, the legendary O-lineman coach Bill Callahan. And he's leaving the Cleveland Browns and he's coming over to Tennessee. Bill Callahan has had a pretty good history of taking some really shitty O-lines and making them quite goddamn good. Now, does it always happen overnight? No, but he has had some cases where he's made some really bad O-lines pretty damn good. In this scenario, am I seeing a dramatic transformation? No. If we could go from bottom 3 to bottom 12, that is some sizable improvement right there. That could give Will Levis some time, some breath, and he could find a guy like a Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins. On top of that, you have to realize who Will Levis was really working with last year. It was really DeAndre Hopkins or bust. Now he has Calvin Ridley. He has Tyler Boyd to add into that mix. So I don't know. I really think that we need to give Will Levis a bit more of a shot here. The Titans play caller last year, Tim Kelly, quite frankly, was awful. So yeah, the Titans offense intrigues me, but I think we need to flip to the other side of the ball because that's where I think this Titans team is actually getting me to the over, shockingly enough.
Okay, so you want to talk about the defense. All right, so we got L'Jarius Sneed joining the team, which is one of those corners that could really change things. I mean, I don't think one corner is enough, but you also add Cheeto Awuzie. So two new pieces at corner for the Titans, which is huge. If I remember correctly, the Titans, here it is right here, the Titans home away splits defensively at home. And this is, I remember me and Prop Beaver were talking about this in the 2022-2023 season. So this is like multiple years now where the Titans defense, for whatever reason, at home in Tennessee, 3.9 yards per carry allowed, which is 6th in the NFL, 19th in EPA, 29th in DVOA. So maybe they had a bit of an easier schedule at home. But look at their pass defense. Actually, I'm looking at the pass run defense, by the way, on the road. So you might have had the wrong graphic up. But their pass defense on the road, one of the worst in football, 31st in EPA, 29th in DVOA, 30th in EPA pass defense overall as well. So this is a really weak team against the pass last year. Pass rush, they actually were 5th in adjusted sack rate, but 20th pass rush grade. Again, part of that goes to playing in the AFC South and playing a last place schedule. So are two corners enough to just shift it? I mean, we're talking about another new coordinator here. So how much does this shift with two new corners?
Yeah, I think it shifts it quite a bit. Have you seen what the Titans have rolled out there at corner the past 2 seasons? Christian Fulton, and I forget the other corner. It has been absolutely dreadful. What they have been rolling out there at corner. So yeah, I think the Titans have actually had the foundations of a pretty great defense the past 2 or 3 seasons now. But when your corners are going out there and just getting beat up on by every single wide receiver that lines up across from them, yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to have any pretty reputable defense. So yeah, I really like the acquisition of not only L'Jarius Sneed but Awuzie. And what I like about what the defensive coordinator is doing this year, I was reading a article, is they want to play a lot of press coverage. They really want to get up on you, and they just want to play man 1-to-1. And that's what I like what they did with L'Jarius Sneed, because we're looking at games like the Jets, right? We're going to get into the schedule, but week 2, you can see right there, week 2 at home against the Jets. A lot of people are looking at that game and they're like, there's no way the Titans could beat the Jets here. Well, you're going to have Chidobe Awuzie on Mike Williams, 1-on-1 press coverage. Mike Williams is coming off a knee injury. Then you got on the other side, L'Jarius Sneed, arguably the number 1 press corner in all of football on Garrett Wilson, 1-on-1. And the Jets defense isn't as good on the road. So now you have this defense that can play press quite damn well against number 1 corners. In matchups like these, you're putting yourself in situations to win those games. So I don't know. I just feel like this defense, you wouldn't think of it when you're getting a lockdown corner like L'Jarius Sneed, but I think it really does make that big of an impact. I think L'Jarius Sneed is that good. And on top of that, I do think that Chidobe Awuzie is due for a bounce back because he showed flashes last year. He was still pretty damn good. And guess what? That was coming off of an ACL. Now this is going to be his second year off of an ACL. The second year off of an ACL is always when the guy's most effective. Breece Hall, I think he could be one of the greatest fantasy picks of all time this season, coming off of that ACL, second year off an ACL. That's when you see guys really perform up to their potential.
And I kind of like what you just said there with those two corners up in man coverage. Now, are you assuming they're going to be in man coverage because of those corners' history, or did you look at Denard Wilson, the defensive coordinator's history?
That was a quote from Denard Wilson.
Okay, cool. So, all right. So to add on to that, all right, they're going to be playing a lot of man coverage with two elite corners. I mean, you think you would want to do that with those two corners. I mean, this is a top 5 run defense for multiple years. In fact, 2 years ago was the best run defense in football. No one really goes into Tennessee and runs the ball. So in that particular example you gave, week 2 against the Jets in Tennessee, you press those two receivers and take away Breece Hall. Yeah, I mean, who's going to beat him? Tyler Conklin over the middle? I mean...
Yeah, and I mean, you still have Jeffrey Simmons, who's causing havoc in the middle. You still have a pretty decent pass rush. You drafted Devontae Sweat in the middle right there.
They also added
the second round.
They also added Joseph Day.
Yes, I like Sebastian Joseph Day a lot as well. So I think that this Titans defense is really being slept on going into this year. I keep hearing people, even people who I highly respect, like fantasy analysts, being like, oh, well, the Titans could be in a lot of shootouts this year because that defense is so bad. Are we like not paying attention to who they got in the offseason? So, yeah, if you still are down on Levis, I could totally see being on the under for this team. And we're going to look at the schedule. It's not exactly the easiest either. But yeah.
So wait, who do you like? So obviously we know that Simmons can create pressure from the interior. He usually is in the 3 shade to the 5 shade. But who's on the edge here for because what you just described, like who's getting to the quarterback? Harold Landry, you like?
Let me go and look at the edge here. Well, I do like Arden Key. Arden Key has been pretty solid for a couple teams now. Jeffrey Simmons always creates good pressure from the interior. Harold Landry's been pretty good at creating pressure. Yeah, I mean, just pretty much those guys you need right there. If anything is a concern for me, it'd be Jamal Adams at strong safety, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I honestly, like...
I would have rather had Elijah Molden.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to the schedule, Andy, do you have any thoughts on that? I know Andy's here to talk college football, but he was just sitting here, so we were like, want to come on?
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty general. I'm not a huge Will Levis guy. I wasn't a huge fan of him in college or Kentucky either, but so putting all your faith in him is pretty scary to me, but Prop Beaver kind of sold me on the defense. I didn't know much about their defense. He kind of sold me pretty well there. He does a good job of going through defenses, so I think this is a team where if their defense has to carry him, I think that'll help, but I don't know if Will Levis is going to do much to help them.
I also really like what Doug Lane said. Thank you, Doug. If they play press man, then I think that kind of makes up for the lack of big name edge rushers. So the better press man coverage they play, that gives the edge rushers more time to get to the quarterback. So, yeah.
I like how someone says, when does Winky get to talk? By the way, Prop Beaver's producing the show, and he put his name up as Winky. No one calls Andy Winky. All right, let's talk
that schedule up.
Let's talk Titans schedule. And honestly, I will say,
somebody commented week 1 they're underdogs against Chicago, and that's embarrassing. That might be a bit of an oversight.
They're on the road.
They're on the road in Chicago. The hype's going to be crazy for Chicago in that game.
Is it crazy to think that Caleb Williams struggles his first game as an NFL pro? And I don't think. Look, I'm not saying the Titans are going to beat the Bears in week 1, but I'm saying that there are crazier things that can happen in the NFL than the Bears lose week 1 with a rookie quarterback. In fact, what is we were talking about this last year. What is the number 1 overall picks record in week 1 as a starter? I don't think it's good, right?
Not great.
We know last year's didn't start week 1.
Yeah, I remember talking about this at one point, but I forgot. I think it was first round pick quarterbacks that start week 1 have a terrible record, but I'm speculating because I don't remember the numbers offhand. You know what? When we do the edit and upload this, we'll put it on the screen or something. So maybe it's significant. All right, Titans schedule. Let's call week 1 in Chicago a loss. How about they steal one of the Jets-Packers games?
I think they do. I mean,
how about this? Let's give them 1-3 after week 4 because they're getting smoked in Miami.
Yeah.
1-3 after week 4. Home against the Colts? Dude, that's got to be a win, right?
I think they beat them.
2-3. At Buffalo, loss. At Detroit, loss. Home New England, that could be a win.
I think they beat New England.
That's 3-5. At Chargers, probably a loss, but winnable.
Very winnable. Minnesota.
We'll say 3-6. Home in Minnesota, that's winnable. 4-6. At Houston, loss. At Washington, what the fuck? So
I don't know if I'm gonna give the Washington Commanders a win. This year,
I don't think that's a
so winnable. We'll put it at maybe 5 wins right now. Home Jacksonville, probably a loss. Home Cincinnati, probably a loss. Away Colts, probably a loss.
I think they could steal.
Dude, they're gonna lose. They could lose.
I'm between 6 or 7, so I'm going with my over.
I'm between 5 and 6, though.
Okay,
I'd probably say
you're
over
under.
too.
Yeah, put me up as under. But I think they could land on 6, though. In to your credit of saying they won't be as bad as people think, I think they could land on 6.
I'd say over as well.
Well, I think some people are thinking that the Patriots and Titans are going to win 3 games this year.
I think you really, really don't like the Titans. I don't know if other people are that down on the Titans this year.
Games.
Yeah, but you're the guy who thinks they're going to win like 3 games. I don't think
I
anybody
just
else
said
thinks
I
that.
have them at 6. How am I the guy that said they're going to win? I just said I have them at 6. I just said it.
Yeah, but
You
you
just
had
said
to. You had to like. And to I don't
had to
know.
pull it
Felt
out
like
of you.
pulling nails to get there.
They won 6 last year. I think they can win 6 again.
All right.
Andy?
That was with Reeves.
Winky?
I said over as well. I think they could steal one of those last
Over?
3 games to get
You
there.
guys are both taking the plus money over?
I don't think they're
the
gonna be that
Colts.
bad.
The Colts are going 0-8 to start the year.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
Our poll is split 66 votes, pretty much dead even over and under. So maybe the consensus on the Titans, maybe Prop Beaver's right. Maybe I conjured it a bit.
yeah, I feel like people like somewhat respect this team. I like this team.
All right.
All right, let's get you college.
Let's talk real ball.
football.
Let's
talk real ball.
Fucking fools.
Down 13.
All right,
going
see
to
y'all later.
4.
Have a good day.
Jeez.